By the end of this video, you're gonna know exactly what needs to happen for the housing market to crash in 2024. Because 71% of you said that you don't think the market is gonna crash in 2024. So let's talk about it. By the way, the last factor I mentioned is probably one that you didn't expect. But first, I need you to hit that subscribe button. If you want to get better at real estate investing, you have to follow this channel. Also, if you're looking to buy your first or next property in 2024, I am hosting a free 5-day Keys to Home Ownership Challenge starting on Sunday, March 3rd. The link to that is in the description. So the first thing that would need to happen for the market to crash is that affordability would need to continue getting worse. According to the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis, the median home sales price in the US in Q4 of 2023 was about $417,000. Just 10 years prior, that number was about $258,000. According to new data from the real estate investing platform Arrived, high-income earners defined as those in the top 30% cannot comfortably afford to buy a home at any age in Boston, Denver, Los Angeles, New York, Sacramento, San Diego, and Seattle. By contrast, in 2001, the top 30% of income earners could afford homes in some cities as early as age 24. Y'all, this is crazy, but this is just the beginning. Watch. Even in less expensive real estate markets around the US, higher earners can't count on buying a home before they turn 40, Arrived found. In cities like Riverside and Portland in Oregon, Salt Lake City, Utah, Austin, Texas, and Washington, D.C., it now takes higher earners at least 20 more years to afford a home today than it did in 2001. So let's dig a little bit deeper. According to the US Census, the median household income in the US is about $75,000. 50% of Americans make less than $75,000 and 62% of Americans make less than $100,000. So let's break down some of those median income numbers by race. As you can see, Asians are leading the pack and their median household income is $108,700. For white non-Hispanics, median household income is $81,060. For Hispanics of any race, that is $62,800. And then for Black Americans, the household income is $52,860. Here's my first point. As we can see, the majority of Americans are not high income earners. So I really don't see how these crazy home prices are sustainable if the majority of the population doesn't make enough to buy them. So let's dive further into this issue at the local level. According to CNBC, in LA, Long Beach, and Anaheim, California, 1.2% of homes for sale were affordable for households making $75,000 last summer. I can confidently say it hasn't improved or changed much since then. In January 2024, the median listing home price in Los Angeles was $1.2 million, according to Realtor.com. That's about the same as it was when CNBC wrote that article last summer. The median days a home stayed on the market in Los Angeles as of January 2024 was 51 days, which is 13 more days than 2 years ago. Let's take a look at a listing. This property's been on the market for over 300 days and they've only dropped the price by $200,000. In my opinion, it needs to drop way more if they actually want to sell this property. I live in LA and I see ridiculous listings like these every single day. And I really want to know who has the money to buy these properties. In the Austin, Texas area, 1.2% of homes were affordable for households making $75,000 last year. In January 2024, the median listing home price in Austin, Texas was $625,500 according to Realtor.com, and that's about $50,000 less than when CNBC put this report out. The median days on the market in January 2024 was 82 days in Austin, which is 58 days more than 2 years ago. So that should tell you something. Let's take a look at a listing in Austin. So this property has been on the market since June 2023. They dropped the price by almost $100,000. So to me, that says there's not enough buyers who can afford it and the home is absolutely overpriced. It honestly wouldn't surprise me if listings like these continue to go down. Because if the majority of people can't afford what is on the market, in my opinion, I think the prices have to start decreasing to some extent. Let me know what you think about that. In the Seattle, Washington area, 1.2% of homes were affordable for households making $75,000 or less. In January 2024, the median listing home price in the area was $790,000, which is about $45,000 less than when CNBC put the report out last summer. So more prices dropping. The median days on the market in the Seattle area in January 2024 was 49 days, which is 30 days more than 2 years ago. Let's check out this listing. This property has been on the market for a little over a month, and the price has already been cut by almost $30,000. The seller is even offering $10,000 and seller paid closing costs. The seller actually bought the property in October for less than its listing price. So to me, it's probably a house flipper who didn't do their homework. So this actually might come down a lot more. Again, how can prices stay this high if the majority of people living in these cities can't afford it? Who's buying these homes? Let me know what you think, because it does not make any sense to me. So if affordability continues to be an issue in some of these cities and the majority of the population cannot afford the homes, it will make sense to me for the prices to start crashing down in these areas for the properties to actually sell. There's only a limited number of people, in my opinion, who can actually afford these ridiculous prices. So as you're looking in your local market or wherever you're looking to invest, you want to see how long properties are sitting on the market. And you also want to see if there are price cuts for the kind of properties that you're looking for. If you have the right combination of a property being on the market for a long time and some price cuts, who knows, you might be able to get an even better deal. Real estate is local, so it's important for you to have a really good understanding of what's going on in the city you want to invest in. So the next factor we're going to talk about is something that so many people have been debating back and forth. So the next thing that would need to happen for the housing market to crash in 2024 is that foreclosures would have to increase dramatically. For those who don't know, foreclosure is the legal process that occurs when a homeowner fails to make full principal and interest payments on their mortgage. If this issue is not rectified within a specified grace period, the lender has the right to evict the homeowner, take control of the property, and then sell it off. From 2008 to 2010, there were over 2 million foreclosure filings each year. From 2007 to 2010, over 3 million homes were actually foreclosed upon. So the reason for a lot of these foreclosures is that people have mortgages that they truly could not afford back then. There's a lot more regulation now, and there are more layers to the mortgage process. Back then, it didn't take much to get approved. If you spoke English, or even if you didn't speak English and you could breathe, you got a mortgage. I'm not exaggerating. It was really that simple. It didn't matter what your income was, your credit was, somebody would give you a mortgage. The crazy thing is, even if the lender knew you would eventually lose the house, they didn't care. People were getting approved left and right. At this time, there were a lot of homeowners with adjustable rate mortgages. So that means for a period of time, the mortgage was manageable, they could afford it, but then eventually the interest rates spiked. And for many, it made the property unaffordable. A lot of buyers were not able to sell their homes because the values crashed and the values ended up being less than what they even paid for it. Speaking of adjustable rate mortgages, I see absolutely no reason for you to ever get an adjustable rate mortgage, period. You never know what'll happen in the future, and there's no guarantee that you'll be able to afford the mortgage when it's time to reset at the new interest rate. You got to protect yourself. I say this all the time, and I do not recommend anyone getting an adjustable rate mortgage, period. The best way to protect yourself is by getting a fixed rate. If you cannot afford a property at the fixed rate that's out there right now, you shouldn't be buying. You should just wait. The mortgage process currently is a lot more thorough than it was last time. If you've had a mortgage in the last 5 years, you know exactly what I'm talking about. A lot will be required of you in order to qualify you. Pretty much right now, lenders are going to do everything they can to ensure that you're qualified and that the loan will be paid back. Let's look at some foreclosure data from today. According to Adams' year-end 2023 U.S. foreclosure market report, which shows foreclosure filings, default notices, scheduled auctions, and bank repossessions, were reported on 357,062 U.S. properties in 2023, which was actually 10% higher than 2022 and up 136% from 2021, but down 28% from 2019 before the pandemic shook up the market. Foreclosure filings in 2023 were also down 88% from a peak of nearly 2.9 million in 2010. All right. So based on the data, we are very far from where we were 10 to 15 years ago in terms of foreclosures. While they have risen, they are nowhere close to where they were in the financial crisis. I will say this though, it is possible that with these mass layoffs that folks will be in a tough position and not be able to pay their mortgage if they don't have an emergency fund, or when that emergency fund runs out. There are also a lot of people over the last few years who overpaid for properties and really bought homes that they truly couldn't afford with their regular 9-to-5 job. So there will probably be an increase, but it's hard to imagine getting back to 2008 numbers when the factors were just so different back then. Let me know what you think about that. At this point, there's one more thing we need to discuss, and it's probably something that you didn't expect me to go over today. Interest rates would have to continue rising in order for the housing market to crash in 2024. As of the recording of this video, the 30-year fixed mortgage rate is about 7.08%. The average 30-year mortgage rate in the US, which was below 3% until late 2021, peaked at 7.79% in late October 2023. That represented the highest mortgage rate since November 2000. The result is more costly borrowing, which can dampen housing market activity. Rates have since declined, but remain much higher than pre-2022 levels. So let's put that in perspective. This means that mortgage rates have more than doubled in just a few years. That is crazy to me. In 2023, this resulted in the slowest home sales year since 1995. The craziest part about that to me is that even though it was a slow year, the median home price reached an all-time high of about $389,000. This is really interesting. Just to be clear, this is national data. Earlier, we already looked at some cities where there are already some price cuts going on. All right, so slow sales year, the highest interest rates we've seen in years, but the price of homes continue to go up. Am I the only one who thinks there's something wrong here? Let me know. So I'll be honest with you. I don't think lowering the interest rates will help with affordability in most cases. Just think about it. 2023 was a historically slow year. That means there's a lot of home buyers on the sidelines. If interest rates go down, my prediction is that the home prices will just go up because everybody who's been sitting on the sidelines due to the interest rates is going to come flooding back to the market, and we'll have the same problem we've had all over again with increased pricing. Before we go further, there is never a reason to pay over the asking price for a property. I don't care how much you like it. I don't care how much you like the yard. I don't care how much the rent is. There's never a reason to pay over the asking price for a property. 99% of the time, you will regret it. So I believe what's keeping these prices so high is the lack of inventory. So let's check out this article. Another factor is the Great Recession, which took place around 2007 and 2008. Data from the St. Louis Fed suggests that this had a severe impact on housing inventory. New home builds had been on the rise in 2005, peaking in January 2006 with more than 2,200 housing units started that month. They then declined very sharply, hitting a low of just 478 in April 2009. While the number of new builds has been slowly increasing since then, totals have yet to reach pre-Great Recession levels. Let's look at that data a little bit deeper. A normal amount of inventory is 5 to 6 months of housing supply to be balanced, or not leaning towards either a buyer's market or a seller's market. The National Association of Realtors home sales data showed a 3.3-month housing supply level as of 2023, which is healthier than the record low of 1.6 months, but still well below balance. So we have about half as much inventory as we need. I don't think that's really going to change in just 1 year. We're too far behind. Another reason for the lack of inventory is that 89% of homeowners have an interest rate below 6%. Let's break that down a little bit further. So 88.5% of homeowners have a rate below 6%, 78.7% of homeowners have a rate below 5%, 59.4% of homeowners have a rate below 4%, and 22.6% have a rate below 3%. So we find ourselves in a very interesting position. Interest rates are at an all-time high. Home prices are continuing to rise and hitting records. In my opinion, something has to give. I don't think this is sustainable. I really don't. If interest rates continue to go up, I don't think these home prices can stay as high as they've been. We've already seen several examples of how the days on market in certain cities is increasing. What does it look like in your city? Maybe the same thing is happening in the area where you're looking to invest. Ultimately, I don't think we're heading for a full-on crash. I do think in certain markets, there will be some sort of an adjustment, but with the interest rates, with the inventory, there's just so many factors at play. So here's what I'll say to you. Make sure you're looking at the important data, the days on market, price cuts. You just got to get in where you fit in at this point. You might have to get creative. You might have to collaborate with others to acquire a property. There's a lot of different things that you can do. My encouragement to you is to think outside of the box. Be vigilant, watch what's going on in the market, prepare yourself, get your money saved up, and when you spot a deal, don't hesitate. Go for it. So now that you know exactly what needs to happen for the housing market to crash, I want you to learn about 5 mortgage mistakes to avoid. Check out this video right here.